Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you are a brand new subscriber or a brand new viewer. My name is Kyle. Avatar: The Way of Water is coming out very soon, and as such I'm talking about all the James Cameron films I have yet to review on this channel. I've talked about the original Terminator, The Abyss, True Lies, and today we are going to be discussing 1997's Titanic. The film is a love story about a young aristocrat named Rose, played by Kate Winslet, who ends up meeting a very intelligent yet also poor boy, played by Leonardo Dicaprio, his name is Jack Dawson, aboard the doomed luxury liner Titanic. In case you are one of the few people who has never seen this film, definitely watch it because the review will contain plenty of spoilers. I'm going to be discussing the whole film. So if you haven't seen Titanic, this is your warning. Go watch it and come back to this review. With a movie like this, I have to say to myself, where do I even begin? Because the movie is over 3 hours long. It's one of the most popular films ever made, ever released. It grossed nearly $2 billion when it came out, and even more on subsequent re-releases. It's a movie that practically, even if you've never seen it, you know so many elements of it, from Celine Dion's theme, to certain images that just get shown, to the poster of the film. This movie is iconic in almost every way, and this month it actually celebrates its 25th anniversary. So I have to say to myself, what can I really discuss about it? And I felt like the best way I could talk about Titanic was to bring in my nostalgia as well as talking about the film itself in as objective a manner as I can now that I'm seeing it with adult eyes. The biggest thing I can state right off the bat is I was not alive in 1997, so I did not see this film alongside everybody else when it came out in theaters. However, I saw the film as a kid through the closest way I could possibly ever see it to the actual theatrical experience. And that is on this 2-set VHS tape. This is truly one of those things I have always wanted to showcase on this channel, and I finally have gotten the opportunity to do so. This meant so much to me as a kid. It's one of the few movies that I just treasure having the VHS for, and I love the fact that it's 2 tapes. And every time I have seen the film uncut, just the full version, I have always remembered when tape 1 ended and tape 2 began.
Well, I believe you may get your headlines, Mr. Ismay.
So let's, and this pun was not intended, but it's going to be funny anyway, dive deep into Titanic as we start the film with the remnants of the actual ship itself. James Cameron has stated he loves diving, and he really was just emotionally taken aback when he got to see the actual ship at the bottom of the ocean. And they recaptured that so well at the beginning of the film as we get introduced to, once again, the late great Bill Paxton, and sadly the last time he would work with James Cameron. But Bill Paxton, he always had a way of bringing a smile to my face. And the movie definitely has a theme throughout, which is the power and seduction of greed. The fact that we will go to literally the depths of the ocean to find something that most likely isn't there, or it isn't going to live up to our expectations. However, what they find is a binder full of drawings, and one of those drawings just happens to contain the jewel that they're looking for. And in the next scene of the film, we get introduced to Old Rose, played by Gloria Stuart. I absolutely love this woman's performance. Every aspect about it is just top-class acting. She is absolutely hilarious. She is heartfelt when she needs to be, especially when she's looking at that monitor and she's just thinking about how the ship looked when it was brand new, the paint was freshly polished. The emotions going through that woman's face, and especially through her eyes. I love the fact that her character is mysterious at the beginning of the film, and it perfectly plays its way to the end of the film, but we'll get to that in a second, because we're now going to jump back in time to 1912. And this is definitely one of the top 3 best aspects of Titanic, because James Cameron, for this movie, had to recreate an era. Similar to how Schindler's List did it during World War II and also with Raiders of the Lost Ark, they had to recreate periods of time. You really had to feel like you were within this era, and there was not going to be a moment when they were shooting the scenes in 1912 that you feel taken out of those sequences. And I think James Cameron's recreation of everything is absolutely brilliant. The ship still looks fantastic, and the visual effects throughout the entire movie still hold up extraordinarily well. The difficulties and the obstacles that James Cameron faced in this movie were absolutely paramount, and, well, I guess that's another pun intended, but he once again was able to overcome all those obstacles because that is who the man is. And this is a perfect time to jump into the characters of this film as we get introduced to Rose, played by Kate Winslet. I've always liked Kate Winslet. I think she's a fantastic actress, and as she's gotten older, she's been involved in Oscar-nominated performances such as Revolutionary Road. She's been involved in great TV shows like Mayor of Easttown. And here, this is one of her earliest roles, and for me personally, I still really enjoy her in the movie. I know that she has come out and basically kind of like trashed her own performance, but I think she's very solid here, and definitely Kate Winslet has a specific moment that has never quite left my mind, and I know that's going to sound kind of weird, but Titanic is the first movie, and I gotta be honest here, it is the first movie that I ever saw female nudity in, and it's something that I feel like for everyone seeing the movie, it is a memorable sequence. So I'm not just saying that just because she's a gorgeous woman or anything like that, because she is, but it is definitely a landmark film for that reason. Outside of that, though, she had to play somebody who was becoming a very posh, snobbery person. And this is the perfect time to talk about Billy Zane as Caledon Hockley. This is, again, one of those performances I've wanted to talk about for a long time. Every syllable out of this man's mouth is pure snobbery. I wish that somebody could make a compilation video for every line in the movie said by him because, man, he is so over the top and so thematic with the performance that it is absorbing with every scene he's in. He is giving every fiber into this character, and it is so funny. I think it gets funnier every time I see the movie.
I put the diamond in the coat. And I put the coat on her!
I've also gotten to appreciate the performance by Rose's mother, and I'm blanking on the actress's name, but I remember that she was in Unforgiven as well. But here in this film, as a kid, I just hated the character. I thought she was just very controlling and all that. And of course, I still feel that way now. But at the same time, I have begun to understand the character's messages and why she wants what she wants for her daughter. Especially because during that time in 1912, women were not allowed to vote. So they were still viewed as second-class citizens. So in this sort of predicament, you would want your offspring, especially mainly if it's a daughter, you would want your daughter to be with somebody who is well off because she would be financially secure, financially stable. And it's that sort of construct of, well, everything's going to be done for her. She's not going to be able to do anything independently. She's going to have to be dependent on somebody else to live. And there's a great scene where she's adjusting Rose's corset, and she talks about her previous life and what she did in the past, and how her dad left them with bad debts. So you definitely feel the weight that's on the mother's shoulders, and I really feel like watching it today, I feel like I understand the character more than I did when I was younger. And now let's jump into Leonardo DiCaprio as Jack Dawson. Similar to Kate Winslet, this is one of his earlier roles. Not the earliest, we've seen Leonardo DiCaprio act in a few movies before this, but certainly to step up to the plate for a film like this is absolutely monumental. And to portray a character like this who's very poor, but at the same time, he is extremely intelligent, just not in the ways that posh, snobbery people would view somebody of intelligence. There's a lot of complexity to the character, and he has to be somebody who comes into the situation and presents something that nobody else can present to the character of Rose. And outside of it being true love, I think he represents perseverance. He goes around the world, and even though he doesn't have a lot of money, he has heart. And I think the challenge presented, and even something that James Cameron knew about back then, was how do you create a story like this without tarnishing or ruining a true natural tragedy? Because the ship eventually sank. In order to get to that point, you have to get the audience very soaked into a story. You have to tell something. And I think the idea of telling a love story amidst a national tragedy is something that can easily be seen as horrible or ruining a legacy, but I feel like the story that Cameron told here is very important because it factors into the decisions that were made with the ship, like trying to speed up the propellers, in terms of, well, Titanic has to make headlines. Perhaps we'll get paid more. Perhaps we will have more recognition for what we're doing. All of these things are factoring into the importance and significance of greed, as I said towards the beginning of the video. But specifically with the love story, you had to believe that these two characters would have some kind of romantic connection with each other, and that they would fall in love with each other easily. But their first encounter, where Rose is thinking of killing herself, is extremely important, because Jack mentions how dangerous and how cold that water is. It hits you like 1,000 knives, stabbing you all over your body. The fact that you are just gonna suffocate in there, there's gonna be more pain jumping into the abyss than the pain of what you're going through right now. And I think these are very important lessons that he's instilling with her, and it's their first time meeting. And as I watch this with adult eyes, it's like, yes, these are definitely two teenage age characters who are falling in love with each other very quickly, and we understand that, well, that's a bit unrealistic. At the same time, there are those people who can come into our lives at the most random moments, and even though we might know them for just a couple of days or maybe a couple of weeks, the influence they have on us, and hopefully it's in a positive way, but the influence they have on us can shape the rest of our lives. And all of these things are masterfully planned so that once we get into the moment where the Titanic is about to hit the iceberg, the stakes are just absolutely high because there is a lot of danger that's presented well beforehand. The idea of greed, them being chased around by David Warner's character, rest in peace. All of these things are definitely to heighten the tension. I absolutely love the engine room scenes in this movie. They are so well calibrated, well paced, and you feel the absolute speed and sensibility of the ship. And especially when the ship is about to hit the iceberg, you see everybody just racing around, trying to reverse the engines of the ship. It is tremendous stuff, and it's aided by the score of this movie by the late, great James Horner, who worked with James Cameron with Aliens, and would eventually, and sadly finally, work with him on the original Avatar. He passed away in 2015, rest in peace to him. His music in the movie is phenomenal, and he definitely used some of these cues in The Mask of Zorro because they came out at very similar times. I could hear some influences being used in Zorro from this movie, but the score here is just phenomenal, and you feel the tension in every second and every shot. One of my favorite moments of all time is when they shut the doors for the men in the boiler room, and there's this one guy who's just charging at full speed towards this door, and he gets the leg in just before the door slams shut with amazing slow motion. James Cameron is a master at slow-mo. And now the rest of the movie is dealing with how the ship is going to sink and the inevitability that it actually will sink. Having that pure horror just thrown in your face is terrifying, to say the least, and the fact that you are surrounded with nothing but dead cold water, the water that will hit you like 1,000 knives, stabbing you all over your body, because earlier in the film you find out there's not enough lifeboats for all the passengers on board. And the decision was done because, well, the ship was less crowded, as if nobody would expect that something like this would happen. As everybody tries to navigate how to get off the ship, the quartet is there to just try to keep everybody entertained, but at the same time it shows just how powerful music is to try to either soothe people or to move people, to get them to frantically pace themselves, and then it eventually leads to them playing the very sad song that we all know. Once that moment hits, every time I've seen the film, I just get chills all over my body. It is absolutely intense in every way, shape, or form. And we've heard a barrage of sound effects, punches, kicks, random action scene in which Cal shoots a little knob off and he ends up slipping on it, which is hilarious. We've heard all of these sounds, all of these moments, and it ends with the captain going down with his ship with a moment of pure silence. I'm talking about the production design, the sound, the film editing, the visual effects, because this movie was an 11 Oscar-winning film. This movie won and completely swept the Academy Awards, and for good reason in my opinion, because this movie nails pretty much all the cornerstones needed to making a successful film, but it's also an epic on a grand scale. So when the stern of the ship sinks completely underwater, the tension is just always there because there's no warm water waiting for them. It's the water that, like I said before, it hits you like 1,000 knives. So the danger is there even after the ship sinks. So, of course, this leads to the door scene. And this scene has been talked about to death. Why couldn't they both fit on the door? Ever since I was a kid, I always thought that it wouldn't have supported their weight because when Jack went to pull it and get on it with Rose, it just rose up into the water. Could they have taken turns? I'm sure they could have. And while the majority of people see this as a major screw-up, I actually feel like this leads to the heart of the movie, the most important aspect of it, which is this is Rose's story. This is not about Jack, it's about her, and his insistence that she is going to go on. This girl was on the verge of killing herself because she was just bored, she was tired of having the same conversations. She just didn't really enjoy the lifestyle that she had, even though to us we're thinking, well, she's rich, what should she complain about? There's no real stakes, there's no real heavy life experiences. She's just going to the same events, doing the same things over and over again, and it's only to end with her marrying some rich guy in which she'll be dependent on his money. And Jack's character comes in and tells her that she is more than that she is worth way more than just being dependent on a man. And what's most important is him telling her that she's going to die peacefully in bed. And in her final moment where she passes away in her sleep, we cut to a table in which there's a bunch of photographs showing all the things she was able to do by herself. She had that willingness to keep going on and to live her life with independence. I think that message is absolutely terrific all these years later, and especially in today's culture and society, it works so brilliantly. Now, of course, the scene before that involves her throwing the jewel, the Titanic, into the ocean, a scene in which my mother absolutely loathes and she will always hate to this day. In fact, I think even the mere mention of it, I feel like she's just hearing me wherever she is right now, and is just getting really angry about it, because every time I've ever brought it up, she just gets so mad talking about it. But in my mind, that is the conclusion of the story. Everything that she has is within that, and she's just letting it go, accepting her fate and passing away. But the great thing is she was able to do all of these accomplishments by herself. Now, the idea of the movie ending with everybody watching her as she walks up to embrace Jack, that's a little bit corny. It's one of the little tiny things in the movie that I would have definitely kind of tweaked out because it does feel a little weird. But the end of the movie definitely feels very peaceful and very happy. Only thing I got to say to that is her dead husband is probably looking like, who the hell is that guy? If you guys haven't already guessed, I absolutely love Titanic, and I still do all these years later. The recreation of an era is nothing short of exquisite, and every aspect within that recreated era is stellar. And the performances, while they can be over the top, I think are purposefully done to sort of recapture that era, but also to pinpoint people's snobbishness. You know, I think it is done over the top on purpose, and for that reason, I definitely accept it. I can understand why somebody would dislike the film, but for me, this film works on every level, and I absolutely still love it to this day, and I think I always will. And for that specific reason, Titanic is of course going to get an A+. So what do you guys think about Titanic? Let me know down in the comment section below. We got one more review coming, and that's going to be for the original Avatar. And I have some interesting opinions on that film, so I'm excited to share them. In the meantime, guys, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and give this video a like. All the links to my social media pages can be found in that description box below, as well as my website, kjgpictures.com. The link is also in the description box below. I thank you all so much as always for watching this James Cameron series, and stay tuned.